Let's get into it. Throw up my playoff.
Let's see it.
So I kind of had, you guys got to understand, I don't have Notre Dame in mind. So when it got to picking the last teams that made it in, it got really thick. So remember, I have Georgia beating Ole Miss in the SEC championship game. I got Georgia as the #1 overall seed because I got Ohio State beating Oregon, who lost, right? Georgia, I got losing to Ole Miss in the regular season. Ohio State, I have losing to Oregon in the regular season, but I got both of them winning their conference championship game. So Ohio State would be the 2 seed. Utah would be the 3 seed beating Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship game. And then Miami, I have them losing to Florida week 1, but then running the table the rest of the way. They would be the 4 seed. They get the bye. And then it got really, really interesting. And guys, I talk about this during March Madness, and I want our audience, you can go back and check it. I'm a firm believer in the theory that they want incredible storylines, the most amazing storylines you could possibly have for these matchups. We see it in March Madness all the time. How many times do you get the huge brand name matchup decently earlier, they put them close to each other? Or that coach that coached at South Dakota State is now at Xavier, but they make them play in the first or second round of the NCAA tournament. I think we're going to get a little bit of that here because of the way the seeding works out. Okay, so I've got outside of the 4, I've got Oregon as the 5th overall. I've got Ole Miss as the 6th overall. I've got Oklahoma State as the 7th overall because they would be 11-2. I've got Tennessee as the 8 overall, Bama as the 9 overall. Let's see, I've got Memphis as my group of 5, and then Michigan as my 10. Look at these storylines.
Okay, so you don't have Alabama and Tennessee playing each other.
I don't have Alabama and Tennessee playing each other. I only had Tennessee seated higher than Alabama because they're both 10-2, 6-2 in the conference, and I've got Tennessee beating Alabama during the regular season in that head-to-head to get that higher seed. The team that got screwed out of this was Texas A&M. Because here's what it came down to me. It was Texas A&M and Penn State, all right, for that 11th seed. Not the 12th seed. I gave that to the group of 5. The only reason I gave it to Penn State, because Penn State was 10-2, right? Texas A&M was 10-2, is that Penn State would be 8-1 in the conference, and Texas A&M would be 6-2 in the SEC, and each Big Ten and SEC both have 4 representatives here.
Okay,
right?
So
you see what I'm saying?
Is Penn State your 11 seed?
Penn State, yeah.
Then that's not right there.
Yeah. Then that's not correct.
Penn State's your 11.
Yes. So basically, make a long story short, here's the matchups I have. All right, this is what I got right here. I've got Memphis versus Oregon is my 12-5 game. So Oregon would be hosting that. Remember, Oregon played Liberty last year as the group of 5 team. I think Memphis gets in over an undefeated Liberty because the committee remembers how bad Liberty got beaten last year. I think Memphis plays Oregon. I've got Oregon winning that game. All right, I've got, and playing who? Miami. So you would look at that storyline. You'd have Mario Cristobal now at Miami coaching against his former team in Oregon. Then go to Oklahoma State, Bama. I got Bama going to Oklahoma State, but beating Oklahoma State to play who in the next round? Georgia. A rematch of the game in the regular season.
So you have Alabama going to
Oklahoma State. Yes, Alabama goes to Oklahoma State. I've got Penn State going to Ole Miss to play in round 1. I got Ole Miss winning that game, and then I've got Michigan going to Tennessee to play Michigan going on the road to Knoxville. I've got Tennessee winning that game because I think Tennessee's offense, the way it's built, can take advantage a little bit of Michigan more than really anybody else can in that system. So I've got Oregon beating Miami. Dan Lanning beats Mario Cristobal, knocks Miami out. They advance to play Georgia, who I've got beating Alabama. Look at that. Dan Lanning versus Kirby Smart. Oregon versus Georgia. Look at that storyline. Then you go down. I've got Ole Miss beating Utah, and I've got Ohio State beating Tennessee. Unless I'm losing my mind, Ole Miss played Ohio State last year in a New Year's Six bowl game. Or was it Penn State?
No, it was Penn State.
It was one of the two. It was one of the two. So they played Penn State the first for that storyline.
Buckeyes played Missouri.
Then I've got Georgia beating Ohio State to win the national championship.
Okay, so my question is, can you bring that back up? So SMU, you have 11-1, right?
Yeah, 11-1 regular season, losing in the ACC championship.
Oh, so 11-2.
To Miami, so 11-2, and
their strength of schedule, so I'm fine with them being out. But Texas A&M, you have beating Notre Dame and Texas at the end of the year. I don't think A&M can be 10-2 with those wins and not get it.
So again, the only reason that was the hardest thing going back and forth is 8-1 in the Big Ten. How much more valuable is that than 6-2 in the SEC when both conferences have the same number of representatives in the playoff the way I have it built. That's why I did it. And then Michigan, I got Michigan beating Texas.
And I guess you don't have Texas or Notre Dame in here, so that weakens those wins just a little bit for A&M, even though I think those
would and I think West Virginia has to do well because I think West Virginia is going to beat Penn State in the first week.
Oh, that's right, because you got them 10-2 as well. Okay, you got any questions over there?
God, how do you keep A&M out?
I just think they would do it. That's what I think they would do.
Did you get to a point with the team to where like you had to go like to the 4th or 5th rule to try to get them in?
Well, it's somewhat, but they're in different conferences and they don't play each other and they're not head to head. So again, I think the committee would say Penn State went 8-1 in the Big Ten. Texas A&M went 6-2 in the SEC. They both have equal overall records. We already have 4 SEC teams in and only 3 Big Ten teams in. We're going to put in Penn State. And it's not like you can sit here and say, oh, well, Penn State's not a big brand. Or if Penn State got a home game, I mean, comparing Penn State's home field advantage to Texas A&M's, I mean, it's not like there's a humongous difference. We see the whiteout all the time. So that was the hardest one for me. I got 4 Big Ten, 4 SEC, and then the storylines. Like these matchups, when I was going over this, just absolutely insane.
So you have 4 SEC teams, 4 Big Ten teams.
Yes.
No Notre Dame, but you have your Group of 5 team, and then you have your ACC champ, but then you have 2 Big 12 teams getting in. You have Oklahoma State.
I have Oklahoma State because Oklahoma State would be 11-1, playing Utah, who would be 11-1. That I think only one of the ACC or Big 12 gets 2 teams in. I got the Big 12 getting 2 teams in here.
I like it. I like it. All right, bring mine up. Bring my 12-team playoff up. Let's break it down. Let's start at the beginning here. I have Georgia beating Alabama in the SEC championship, so that's my number 1 overall seed. I have the Buckeyes upsetting Oregon in the Big Ten championship to avenge that regular season loss, so they're the number 2 overall seed. I have Miami beating Florida State twice in the regular season and in the ACC championship. So that ends up being my 3 seed. And then Utah winning the Big 12, beating Kansas State. So they end up being my 4 seed. So those are the first round buys that we have. A little bit different seeding with Miami and Utah from yours there. Oregon, 5th seed. The only team I have in college football going undefeated in the regular season from the Power 4, but they lose to the Buckeyes in the conference championship. So they're the 5th seed. 6th seed, Notre Dame.
Yeah, there it is.
Starting 11-0, losing at USC, that rivalry game at the end of the year. Still good enough, though, to be the 6th seed. They'll be sitting at home during conference championship week, but they'll be sitting at 11-1, which gets me to the 7th seed. Alabama beating Georgia in the regular season, but losing that conference game, so they're the 7th seed. 8th seed, Penn State. I have them going 11-1 in the regular season, but that loss to the Buckeyes keeps them out of the Big Ten championship. 9 seed, Ole Miss there. Okay, so that's a rematch of the Peach Bowl from last year that was so great. I actually have 3 bowl game rematches from last year. Oregon, Liberty, right there, my Group of 5 team. And what I'm thinking on the Group of 5 team, you're saying that the committee will learn their lesson from last year, getting the New Year's 6 automatic bid. Liberty goes and gets blown out. No, they don't learn their lesson ever. No, and Liberty, I think, will go undefeated. That game at App State is going to be the one to watch for there. 11 seed Texas, 10-2. They lose against Michigan. They lose against Georgia. They're sitting there outside the SEC championship, but good enough to get into the college football playoff to get that 11 seed. So play out my bracket here. Here's how the first 12-team playoff is going to play out. There we go.
Okay,
all right,
got Georgia.
3 bowl game rematches from last year. Like I said, Michigan goes to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama. House divided. Rematch of last year's Rose Bowl. Guess what? Upset on the road. Michigan beats Alabama in Tuscaloosa. All right, Ole Miss, Penn State. Rematch of last year's Peach Bowl, like I said, in Happy Valley. Maybe a playoff whiteout. Guess what? Upset on the road. Ole Miss advances to play Georgia. Rematch of last year's Fiesta Bowl. Liberty, Oregon. We're going out there to Eugene. Guess what? Not upset on the road. Oregon pounds them to death to play Utah. And then Texas at Notre Dame in South Bend. The Irish have a 9-3 record all-time against Texas. Guess what? Not this time. Texas upset on the road, goes and plays Miami. And then here's how I have it. Michigan, Buckeyes, rematch. Oh, y'all thought I was going to let Ryan Day just get a win at the end of the year and not get a chance for revenge? Michigan upset in the quarterfinals.
That would be the worst. Ryan Day and them would be so excited
excited they beat Michigan in the regular season, only to lose when it matters more?
I can't wait. Upset to go to the semifinal. Texas upsets number 3 Miami. Steve Sarkisian gets back to the semifinal again this year. Georgia beats Ole Miss in a rematch of that to go to the semifinal. Oregon beats Utah to go play Georgia. Just like you, Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, old protege. Can't wait. Georgia beats Oregon to make the national championship, though. And just like I said, Michigan has an upset there against the Buckeyes from the regular season. Well, they get Texas again. Hard to beat a team twice. Texas Longhorns beat Michigan to go to the national championship, where Georgia takes it all this year. That's how it's going to be.
Look, I don't have Notre Dame in mind. I know you guys are really high on Texas. I'm either going to be really right about Texas not making the playoff at 9-3 or really, really wrong. I will say the team I was thinking of that played Ole Miss, it was Missouri that played Ohio State in the bowl game. Penn State played Ole Miss. Just these matchups, I'll go back to what I said before. When I was sitting down filling this out yesterday, just going through however you do it, these matchups are incredible. I mean, think about these home atmospheres. Right? I mean, you got Oregon playing at home. You got Penn State hosting Ole Miss. That'd be insane. Notre Dame hosting Texas, and then Bama hosting Michigan.
How great would this be?
Who put them out last year? This is.
Man.
So Michigan beats Alabama and Ohio State. David.
So wait, that would mean.
Do you have something to say?
Why would you not have us beating Texas?
Wait. Well, David, let me ask you this.
Because that ain't how it's going to be.
David, let me ask you this. So you have Georgia going 11-1.
In the regular season,
season? Losing to who?
Alabama on the road and
losing to Alabama on the road. So if this happens, this may be the greatest, it could be the greatest year for wins of any team ever. Think about that means Georgia would have beaten Clemson. That means Georgia would have beaten Texas on the road, Ole Miss on the road, Ole Miss again, Oregon, Texas again, and winning in the SEC championship game against
Alabama.
Against Alabama, who they lost.
That might be the greatest season ever.
Good. That may be the greatest.
Would you be surprised?
But not undefeated.
Not undefeated. But that may be the greatest.
And then my first two out, Kansas State and Florida State. Like, I think Kansas State's going to be right there knocking at the door.
It's going to be magical. And blame.
It's over. It's over before it even started.
You know what?
Guys.
We got college football tomorrow. It doesn't matter.
Before it even started.
Who cares?
It always happens when I segue to the ad reads.
You know what?
That's when it happens. That's the soft underbelly of me on Flaming Dragon side.
New life.
It's about time.
There it is.
It's been 8 years.
Like Winston Churchill staring at me.
Dragon!
I'm gonna finish through the line.
What a beautiful Friday. All right, I don't even want to use this graphic. Bring up the other one.
Yeah, let's go to your. Oh, you got Iowa in here?
Yeah, boy. All right, let's go. 1 seed, the Oregon Ducks. Congratulations. 2 seed goes to Ole Miss, who wins the SEC. 3 seed, Utah, who wins the Big 12. And 4, Miami, who will win the ACC. Let's go through it. 12, Liberty, you play Ohio State. This season was fun. It's over now. All right, Alabama versus Tennessee. I have Tennessee winning this game in the regular season, but Alabama tags them back, and they get revenge. Georgia versus Iowa. The christening begins. That'll be a 50-point game, baby.
The christening begins.
All right, this is a really interesting matchup here. Clemson versus Texas. 2 kind of similar teams. I like Texas, but close. I think Texas wins this matchup. And then Ohio State versus Miami. This will be an absolute barn burner. I have Ohio State squeaking this one out late. Alabama versus Oregon. I think Oregon's a more complete team than Alabama is right now. Give me Oregon. Georgia versus Utah. Utah just does not have the cats to run with Georgia for 4 quarters up front on both sides of the ball. Ole Miss versus Texas. If I give you any advice, take the over in this game when it happens. It'll be 55-48. I like Ole Miss. I think they score more. All right, I have Ole Miss beating Georgia in the SEC championship in the regular season. I think Georgia tags them back. I think Kirby gets the right adjustments in as good as he does. I think Georgia wins that. Ohio State, Oregon. Another playback of the Big Ten championship. Give me Ohio State getting revenge, a little tag back. Then after all this talk, we just end up back where we started. Ohio State versus Georgia.
Yeah.
Give me Ryan Day and the boys to finally do it in your face cone. Will Howard, Quinshon Junkins, and all 20 million of the players they bought with the $20 million that they have. Give me Ohio State to win the national championship.
All right, so we all have Georgia in the national championship game. Me and Cone have Georgia winning. You have Georgia losing to Ohio State. I have Georgia beating Ohio State in the playoff. Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's football season. Let's win some money. Subscribe.